Well, thank you, everyone. Thank you for being here for a very, very successful day. We start at 8 a.m. and we are going to end at 8 p.m. with a closing reception and some drinks. But right now, we have the extremely pleasure of having Premier Danielle Smith here with us. And she's going to provide a speech, and after we are going to have a fireside chat. So Danielle Smith is a proud Albertan. As leader of the United Conservative Party, she was sworn as the 19th Premier of Alberta on October 11, 2022. She represents the riding of Brooks Medicine Hat. Mrs. Smith has had a lifelong interest in Alberta public policy, and she's a great leader, I think, running this great province. And I want you to join me and welcome Danielle Smith.
Well, thanks, Miguel, so much for the kind introduction. And sorry I'm extending what sounds like a very long and productive day. I hope you're not too tired to listen to one more presentation and one more discussion. And I hope I've got something to add, because it sounds like you had a pretty thorough discussion on all the things that I would like to talk about, and especially how exciting our new relationship is with Mexico as we continue to broaden it out, as we see a little uncertainty in the world of geopolitical affairs. But I also want to welcome Her Honor, the Honorable Lois Mitchell. Nice to see you again, Your Honor, as well as Evelyn Berra, Head Consul of Mexico in Calgary as well. And I just want to say it is a pleasure to join all of you as we explore new ways to strengthen our ties and to grow the investment between Canada and Mexico. As Premier of Alberta, I'm proud to highlight the already strong relationship that exists between our province and Mexico. Our partnership is built on mutual trust and friendship. Both are foundational to forging a steady path forward, especially as we navigate our way through these decidedly uncertain times. There is no question that we have entered a new era of North American collaboration. Both Canada and Mexico face pressures in our trading relationship with the United States, and that's a reality that has created no small amount of uncertainty and upheaval for both our countries. But it is also creating opportunity. This last year has compelled us to take a good, hard, long look at our relationships and to see, and what I see when I look at Alberta's relationship with Mexico is an opportunity to reset our perspectives, expand our bilateral ties, and create a stronger and more rewarding partnership. I know that there's tremendous enthusiasm to accelerate cooperation between us and build on what is already a strong foundation. Alberta sees Mexico as a key North American partner in advancing trade, growing investment, and driving innovation, something that benefits people and businesses on both sides of the border. Mexico happens to be Alberta's fourth largest trading partner, and it's also one of our fastest growing export markets. Put it into perspective, though, especially as we're looking at the whole CUSMA relationship, or maybe I should call it the MUSCA. I think they should call it the USMCA in the United States, but I'll call it the MUSCA. Right now, Alberta conducts $188 billion worth of trade with the United States, compared to $3 billion with Mexico. So there's obviously great room to be able to improve that relationship, especially at a time when we see the need for greater competitiveness, resilient supply chains, and increased investment to ensure a secure North American economy. Closing that trade gap may be a challenge, but it is also an invitation to grow, to innovate, and to build a stronger North American partnership that works for all of us. Last August, I led a trade mission to Mexico in Mexico City, where I met some leaders in government, the private sector, as well as industry. My visit was about building relationships, creating opportunities, and diversifying export markets. And just as important, it was about showing the people of Mexico that Alberta is a trusted, reliable, and strategic trade partner. Every person I met with shared Alberta's desire to build on our strengths and explore new avenues for trade and investment. Our synergies can lead to greater collaboration and allow us to capitalize on mutually beneficial growth opportunities. As Canada's leading energy producer, Alberta is committed to working with international partners, including Mexico, to advance energy security, innovation, and responsible resource development. And that commitment, along with our growing energy partnership with Mexico, is opening the door wider for Alberta companies to support Mexico's efforts to modernize its energy industry and also develop its infrastructure. For example, thanks to the new Pacific Coast export infrastructure, which includes the expanded Trans Mountain Pipeline and LNG Canada facilities, we can now ship both heavy crude as well as LNG directly to Mexico. Certainly, Alberta is ready to help meet Mexico's growing demand for secure and reliable energy. And that's a win-win-win. Alberta can diversify its export markets and strengthen the resilience of the North American economy our energy system, while also diversifying beyond U.S. markets, and Mexico gains a dependable partner. Agriculture, of course, is another area of shared strength, and it remains a cornerstone of Alberta's relationship with Mexico. And as I'm sure you discussed today, it sounds like you have, it's also one of the fastest growing pillars of our relationship. In 2025, Alberta exported $763 million in agricultural goods, including meat and oilseed and cereals, to Mexico, and we see opportunities for growth. And we're continuing to explore potential synergies in agriculture, agri-food, sustainable farming practices, and food security initiatives. We know that our continued collaboration with Mexico will strengthen agri-food trade and innovation, and that holds many benefits for producers and consumers here in Alberta and Canada, as well as in Mexico. More than beneficial, though, our longstanding relationship is also a strategic one, especially as our countries look ahead to July and the upcoming review of the CUSMA deal. Together, we stand united as united partners, working to support diversification, new markets, and stronger energy ties. We have a shared commitment to inclusive prosperity and economic cooperation. And I believe our solid relationship will help serve as a bit of a hedge against U.S. trade uncertainty. I'm hopeful that both of our countries will enter the talks with a focus on economic competitiveness, resource development, and stable U.S. relations. And I look forward to a positive collaboration with Mexico as we prepare for the review and a positive, hopefully, outcome for all of us. So thank you as well to the Canadian Council for the Americas Alberta for organizing this event, for facilitating these very important discussions. And I do look forward to continued collective work to strengthen our partnership and create new and more opportunities for all of us. And with that, Miguel, I'll be happy to take some questions.
Well, thank you very much, Premier. We are very excited. We had a great day, and we were talking about opportunities in the energy sector, in the agri-food, in innovation, in critical minerals, and all the beauties that Canada and Alberta has to offer to Mexico. So I want to start right now. You spoke right now about Alberta economic strengths and the global outlook that we are living. Why do you believe that this is the right moment to strengthen the Canada-Alberta-Mexico relationship?
Well, I think part of it. Hello?
Yeah.
Is that working now? Okay. Part of it, of course, is the strength of the Mexican economy, one of the 15th largest economies in the world, and we already have the benefit of a free trade agreement under what was NAFTA and is now CUSMA, and who knows what the next iteration of it will be. But that relationship goes back to 1993, and so I think that is so much to build on, especially when you see the effort that successive prime ministers have made to open up new trade markets and establish new trade deals. Well, we've already got one, so let's make the most of it. I think as well, the fact that we have such a strong energy economy helps in two ways. One is now that we're able to export directly off the BC coast and serve the coast of Mexico on the west side, that also offers additional opportunities. One of the things I learned when I went on my trade mission is the slight insecurity that Mexico has because there was instability in the gas supply when Texas had its shortages and its electricity blackout, and that created a new conversation about how does Mexico secure more of its own resources, maybe through own source, which we're happy to provide additional technology and expertise around that, because I know that extracting resources in an environmentally responsible way is important to your government, important to us as well, but also to be able to just have that energy transported by ocean so that you're able to get direct supply. I think that that's a brand new opportunity. And the CPKC line, the fact that they've stretched all the way down to Mexico and now can have bonded goods starting here and going to Mexico and return. I don't know that we've fully capitalized on what all of that could mean, but to have transit through our American neighbor without having additional tariffs in the middle, it does seem to me that that should also strengthen our ability to get supply chain products, manufactured goods, food, exports, fiber. I'd love to talk a little bit more about whether there's an opportunity on forestry, because that's an area where we, of course, have abundance, and it may well be that that's another area that we can open up supply. So I think that the timing is right for us to have this conversation. It does sort of frustrate me that we haven't had as expansive a trade relationship as we should have, because when you look at those numbers, being at $3 billion in trade after working collaboratively since 1993, that's about the same amount that we have with South Korea and the same amount that we have with Japan. So when the Prime Minister said we should be trying to double our trade relationship with all of our trade partners, going from $3 billion to $6 billion, seems like it should be very doable with Mexico.
Absolutely, we agree. And today we have a great panels and discussion, and CPKC was here, and obviously we were WestJet as well, talking about trade corridors in North America and how we can facilitate more the goods and services. And also we have the presence today of ADCO Mexico, that Shell Martinez is here with us, and they were discussing about the opportunities in the gas industry in Mexico, and well, it's a lot of storage of gas was one of the topics that called my attention. And
if I may, maybe I should ask, because when I was down there, I heard that there was this little last mile that needed to be done to get gas to replace the bunker fuel in Mexico City. Is that kind of on the rails?
We still have it up.
Still, okay. Maybe we can I'll try to do some lobbying on that. But it's really substantial, because if that natural gas supply is able to displace that fuel, I think it would solve something like 25% of the air pollution problems in Mexico City, which is such an enormous city and an economic driver. It could be pretty important to quality of life. So I think that would be a good project to finish.
my next question is about Alberta's competitive advantage. What do you believe Alberta offers Mexican companies and investors that differentiates the province from other jurisdictions in North America?
Well, one of the things that we did offer when we met with officials from Pemex is we said, first of all, we have this drilling accelerator. So we've got an approach where we have a test site so that different drilling technologies can be experimented with. So that would be one thing that we could offer, a trade of technology. We're also developing through Ever Technologies. They're going to be using this accelerator to find out how they can use directional drilling to get to a sweet spot of about 10,000 to 15,000 meters deep, so that they can tap into a 450 degrees Celsius area and start using it as a bit of an underground radiator for geothermal, not only for heat, but that temperature you can also use for power, which could be transformative. Once you've developed and mastered that technology, it becomes stable, reliable, dispatchable power, and it's deployable anywhere in the world. So that could be another potential area for shared knowledge. We also do carbon capture, utilization, and storage at scale, and as that may be a way to unlock more energy resources if for the concern about carbon dioxide emissions is helping to leverage some of that technology. And I think we also hosted them to talk about our supplies of lithium. We're extracting lithium from our brines at a commercial level now, and we've got about $1 trillion worth of value in lithium, along with vanadium, titanium, and various other critical minerals. So I think that there's a number of good sort of exchanges of innovation that we can have, and also some of those environmental technologies. We've got some amazing institutes First of all, we set up the North American Institute, led by Carlos Dade at the University of Calgary, and we sort of looked at that partnership principally through the lens of Canada-US, but it's North America, so we should be looking at it through the lens of what partnerships we can have with Mexico, and if we can expand some of the university partnerships there, I think that would be important. I did also just visit AMI, which is our Alberta Machine Intelligence Institute, one of the premier artificial intelligence institutes. They've now attracted 71 scholars to work through their institute, so they're looking for partnerships there as well. That may be an avenue to also do some exchange of information. And I think we've talked about sort of the traditional energy, food, fiber. I think that's one of our great advantages. But the advantage for anyone wanting to invest in the Alberta market, I think, is that we have a very low rate of corporate income tax. We are the lowest in Canada by about 30%. And also our corporate income tax rate is lower than 43 US states when you look at the state federal rates. No payroll tax, no healthcare premiums, no capital taxes, some of the lowest personal income taxes in the country as well, so workers get to keep more of what they earn. In addition to that, very highly skilled population with some great universities. I think we've got 21 different academic institutes. We're doing more and more training at the trades level and polytechnics, so that offers, I think, a real opportunity to be able to tap into a skilled workforce. Affordable living here as well. Alberta has 6 of the 10 most affordable housing markets in Canada, and so that makes it a lot easier for young families to relocate here, and amazing things to do. So Calgary and Edmonton, I mean, we both have amazing festivals, and with Calgary, access to the mountains, but in addition to that, you've seen all the construction that's happening, 2 major NHL teams, 2 professional football teams, we're hosting the World Cup of Hockey, we still have to catch up a little bit on soccer, I understand. Yeah. But and also an incredible, vibrant arts community that is, I think, going to be another major attractor. So those are all of the things that I can say. And our capital city in Edmonton also, I think, has those same wonderful attributes. So those are all the reasons why I'm so bullish on Alberta, and why when you look at job creation year over year, we've created 100,000 jobs, whereas the rest of the country's lost 14,000 jobs. So people are looking at Alberta for all of those reasons as a destination of choice for investment.
Amazing. You already answered my question. But I'm going to skip but I'm going to go to the workforce and talent. Mexico has a young and dynamic workforce. While Alberta continues to grow and diversify its economy and its population, how can stronger partnerships be created in education, workforce development, and talent mobility benefit both countries?
Well,
and both regions.
Well, and I think that that's really the key is the mutually beneficial relationship. I can tell you some of the things that we do with other jurisdictions. I just had a conversation with a delegation from Ghana who wants to have a similar kind of partnership that we've already established with the Philippines, where we've agreed to host nurses and give them some bridging training so that they can have work seamlessly in our system. And then once they've built up some years of experience, there's kind of a return of service when they return to Philippines. And Ghana wants to talk about us doing the same thing so that they can, their population, who's already quite highly educated, can come up to the level of a North American standard and then develop sort of the skills to be able to take back home. And I'm sure that that can work across a whole range of additional professions. And that may be something that we can build on in partnership with Mexico, because it's just so easy. WestJet, we've been so delighted that they've made Calgary their operational hub. And I think probably we have over 100 direct flights from Calgary and even some direct flights from Edmonton, but I think probably most of them go to Mexico because you've got this beautiful summer when we have a very freezing winter. And so we have a lot of direct flights, and I think we've looked at it more from a tourism point of view. But having gone to Mexico City, you can really see that new partnership there and that new direct flight, I think that is going to open up a lot more business opportunities as well. So that's what I'm I'm looking at is there a potential for us to bring workers here in through either a temporary capacity so that they can fill the different aspects of our job market where we have shortages, or where we can do some cross training, and then in return, I'm not sure if there'd be a similar way of doing the partnership down south, because of you'd have to very likely speak in Spanish, and so that might be a bit of a barrier. But those are the kind of things that I think would be really helpful for us to explore and do a little bit more of.
Absolutely, no, thank you for that. And we have our consul of Mexico here. Maybe she can facilitate some exchanges. So, my next question is about the future. If we were sitting here 5 years from now, what would you hope the Alberta-Mexico relation has achieved?
Well, I would hope that we are celebrating for 5 years from now. 4 years into a renewed relationship on CUSMA, as opposed to what the alternative might be. And I hope that, having had this disruption over the past year and a half, that we've both learned how much more we each have to offer each other, and that we'd be talking about having already doubled our trade relationship to $6 billion. How are we going to double it again to $12 billion? I hope we have more direct flights. I hope we can expand these innovation and research and university partnerships. And I hope we can open up some new markets, whether it's for energy trade or some of the critical minerals, or some of the new areas that I'd mentioned as well, with CPKC being able to facilitate that. So to me, it's building on what we already have, expanding it, and then just realizing it by creating those partnerships.
Absolutely, and we have a Alberta-Jalisco relationship, very important.
Oh, that's right. I think I've been to part of Vallarta. I think I counted up 15 times. Yeah. As I said, it's cold here. When my husband moved to Alberta, he lived in Vancouver. That was one of the conditions, is we had to go somewhere warm every winter. And so Puerto Vallarta, for many, many years, was our destination of choice.
Absolutely, glad to hear. So this is my last question for you, okay? Very important question, okay? What we can do as non-for-profit organizations like the CCA Alberta to further support industry and government efforts to accelerate trade and investment between Canada, Alberta, and Mexico?
Well, I think having forums like this clearly are important, because I think facilitating that and just the conversations you have, especially since you had such a full day of it, I'm sure that at every break is where the real business took place, as people made it a beeline across the room to say, that is a really interesting person that I'd like to talk to and learn a little bit more about. And so these kinds of face-to-face conversations are really important to be able to do that. I would also say that assisting us in helping find a navigation service. We call it a concierge service. That's one of the things that we try to offer with businesses that are coming here, in especially the technical areas like AI data centers, some of the big investment projects. Sometimes coordinating between multiple agencies, multiple different government departments can be really complicated from an outside perspective, and being able to direct someone to a point person in Mexico who can help navigate through that, I think would be really important. And in reverse, if there are Mexican companies that want to do business in Alberta, ensuring that they know how to go through Invest Alberta is kind of a first point of contact. I just had a Premier's Investment Council meeting today where it's a brand new council where we're bringing together all of our investment bodies into one place. So we've got AIMCO at the table, which is our $200 billion investment fund, Heritage Savings Trust Fund, which has a combination of almost $40 billion worth of investments. We also have Alberta Innovates, which does amazing work with our research institutes. We've got Alberta Enterprise Corporation, which is a fund of funds to support venture capital. We had at the table Travel Alberta, which continues to do expansion and resort development. We had our Alberta Petroleum Marketing Agency, which has the ability now to ink contracts internationally to provide a secure long-term supply of energy. We also have an agri-invest portion of our agriculture portfolio that looks at how we might be able to expand agri-food processing. And then also technology and innovation, which is leading our data center development, which also has a power development. So you can imagine having all of those different investment arms, getting them together so that everyone knows where the handoff goes. If somebody comes in and they want to make an investment decision, knowing how to navigate between those is very important. And it's worked incredibly well. We landed a $10 billion investment from Dow Petrochemical by being able to have a kind of coordinated approach like that. And there are several major AI data centers that can do the same thing. So playing a role in helping to connect people into our network, and if you've got something similar to that in Mexico so that we can navigate that, that's also important. Because just learning from the ATCO experience, one of the things that I think is a little complicated is you've got very similar, in Mexico, you've got very similar land, how should I put it, consultation and engagement requirements because of the different ownership structures, very similar to First Nations. And sometimes that can be pretty complicated to navigate. I think that created some of the problems for ATCO. But I had also heard that TC Energy had a very successful collaboration in being able to find a way of coordinating with government so that they could get major projects built. So I think that there's a role to play because you know who the players are in the Alberta marketplace as well as in Mexico, and playing that navigation role for businesses so that they know how to connect to get their goods and their investment. I think that would be a vitally crucial role you could play.
Thank you very much. I have an idea for you, not today, but I'm going to share it with you about putting Alberta together. So thank you very much for being with us. Let's give a big applause to our Premier here.
Thank you. Thanks for having me here.
Okay, just smile, everyone. Awesome. Thank you.